Welcome to C++ Coding Ninja. Hello everyone, so today's tutorial is going to be about data types and variables. So let's understand what are data types. So data types are like types of data that you can have. For example, if I'm analyzing or looking into a school, and especially grades 1 to 5. So let's say there are 300 students in the school. So 300 is an integer. So let's create a variable which defines how much students we have. So since 300 is an integer, we will write int the number of the variable, name of the variable, number underscore of underscore students. And also always remember, if you ever need to use space, just use an underscore instead, because if you use space, then the computer will probably get confused, and that's not what you want. So int number of students equals 300. So now if we print number of students integer, then we should see 300 printed out. Here we go, 300. But however, if for example, what happened? If you don't use an integer, let's say you use it's text, which is in double quotes, I don't know, for example, I don't know what would happen, but let's say that happens, then the computer will say, it'll show an error here. So if you have an integer, or like, you have to include and define the variable depending on the data type. So since this is an integer, we have to say that this variable equals an integer, otherwise it won't work. There you go. Now there's another type of variable. Let's say we choose a student from pick a random student, and we ask his name. So the name would be considered a string. Name. String name equals, and always whenever you need to write a string or text, you always have to put it in quotation marks. Otherwise, if we just write Bob and then we just end the sentence with a semicolon, it'll say error on this line. So we have to include these not semicolons, but quotation marks. Yes. So yeah, that's important. So let's just write cout name and all. So yeah, that's what strings are. Now let's dive into floats. So floats means a decimal. Well, you can also write double, but let's just stick with floats. We won't need a double until a bit later. So float, let's say the variable name is age, equals 8.5. So float is a decimal, so we have to include 8.5. So that's what a float is. 300 Bob 8.5. And now there is one more type of variable that is very, very important to me, especially when we progress to through programming. When you progress, it's called a Boolean, or the short form is bool. So what Boolean is it means true or false. So Boolean, let's say the true or false question is fastest underscore runner. So is he the fastest runner? If it is yes, then we should say true, and don't include the capital letters, otherwise it won't work. And if he isn't the fastest runner, if he isn't the fastest runner, then we can say false. And again without the capital letter. So now if we just write cout fastest runner, and so we should get false. We forgot a semicolon. Semicolons are very important, especially when you're programming, since you always have to include them. So let's run it now. Okay, so we got 300. The student name is Bob. He is 8.5 years old, and 0. We wrote false. Oh yeah. So this is what you might get when you have true or false, because what happens is that when you print out a Boolean, instead of saying true or false, just like what you would get in a string, you get 0 or 1. So 0 means false, and let's say we write true. We build and run it. 1 is true, 0 is false, 1 is true. So just keep in mind about that when you want to print out a Boolean, which is not going to be that often. So that's basically all I have to say about variables and data types. There will be more data types coming, so be aware, but these are the main data types. So I hope that you like this lesson, and I'll see you next time. Before I say goodbye for real, I just want to show you a few examples of what happens if you put the wrong data type on the wrong variable. So, for example, if we put 8.5, Control C, into an integer, we see that instead of showing 8.5, it will only show 8, since it will just leave the decimal place. It will just assume that there was no decimal place. So let's put that back into 300. And now if we instead of put our 300 integer, the integer of 300, inside a string, it will show an error on this line, because 300 is not a string. So we have to put Bob inside. And now if we put for example, if we put a Boolean inside a string, it'll say that it will show an error here again. So lots of wrong things can happen if you don't put the correct data type on the correct variable. So just remember to do that. I hope you liked this tutorial, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions, please write them down in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please click like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you can get notified when I upload my next video.